Hey all, welcome to my presentation for Modern Honey Network. Right, so for this experiment, the resources I used were for MHN server, I used Ubuntu 18.04 with a RAM size of 4 gig and a disk space of 80 gigs. I used a $20 per month package offered by DigitalOcean. I also enabled weekly backups for additional $4 per month. For my honeypot servers, I also used Ubuntu 18.04 with a RAM size of 1 gig and disk space of 25 gigs. These were the cheapest options on DigitalOcean, which was $5 per month, with additional $1 for backups. Uh, I deployed my server and honeypots all in one location in London for better connectivity because they're closer to me here. Okay, so moving on to my honeypots that I deployed. Well, I deployed Cowrie, Snort, Suricata, and Shockpot. I went for Suricata, Cowrie, because it's a well-known sensor and it's a medium to high interaction sensor which supports SSH and Telnet protocols. Well, this sensor is designed to log brute force attacks and monitor how an attacker basically interacts with the shell. For my experiment, Cowrie was the one honeypot basically that attracted most attacks. The second honeypot or the sensor I deployed was Snort. Snort is basically an IDS system which is capable of capturing real-time traffic and packet logging. Suricata is also the same IDS system, but in addition to that, Suricata is also capable of inline intrusion prevention, network security monitoring, and it also tracks SSL and TLS sessions. The number you see here at the bottom is basically the number of attacks I gathered from all the honeypots in over a month and a half. So, as we know, HoneyNet basically works with MongoDB. All the HB feeds and session tables are used to store the primary data from our HoneyNets, which are aggregated onto the servers within the MongoDB instance. We can also use a custom bash script to basically dump weekly or monthly data for backup and archival purposes. So the findings and analysis from this experiment, as you can see in this graph, Russia at the top of the table with the most attacks, 410,000 and 451 to be precise. Germany in second place and United States in 30. These were the top 10 countries that basically attacked the most. We also have Netherlands, China, United Kingdom, France, and etc. Right, so as you can see here, I deployed my experiment. I started my experiment around October, mid-October, and I took a screenshot around December the 2nd. So as you can see, on average, I had around 2,150 attacks per day, but we have some high peaks here. As you can see, one on here, that's around 22nd of October. Then we have 25th of October. Just go back 25th of October. Then we have the 5th of November and the 10th of November. Now these high peaks were caused by different IP addresses, which I looked up on Abuse IPDB to see if they were suspicious, and these are the results. As you can see here, the first IP is from Uruguay. It was reported 43 times with 63% abuse rate. The second one, the same thing, has been reported 37 times. The third one, 152 times, and the fourth one, 461 times. These are the IPs that have previously been reported for malicious activities. Right, so once an attacker gets in, what do they do? Well, they do all kind of stuff. So these are the commands, the top 10 commands that were used by the attackers. The top one, as you can see, is echo command, which is basically used to display out the text. So they probably use this one for different purposes. The second one on the list is basically the uname command. This command basically reports basic information about a computer's software or hardware. So basically the attacker probably tried to retrieve information about our system that we're using. So moving on to next slide. So these are top username passwords used by the attackers to get into our systems. As you can see, there's admin, which has been used 82 times. Then we have nproc as username and password, which was used 452 times. This basically shows us that the type of passwords we use every day, which basically puts our network and data at risk. So moving on to top IP attackers, as you can see, these are the top 10 IP attacks we received, our honeynet logged. As you can see, 9 out of 10 are from Russia. But as you can see here, it is evident that most attacks were caused by IPs originating from Russia. As I said, 9 out of 10 attacks show as from Russia. But now from the above, we can assume that most attacks came from one country. However, in most cases, the IPs used are obfuscated to mask the true attacker. And for that, I'll show a quick example here. So I took one of the IPs and I looked up on what's my IP address, and it basically shows it from Ireland instead of Russia. And I looked up the second one as well, and it also shows it as from Ireland and not from Russia. So here the attacker probably use these IPs to basically mask themselves to hide their true identity. So moving on to top URLs visited by the attackers. As you can see on the top, we have 192.99.44.183. So I also looked this up on Abuse IP DB, and this has also been reported 427 times with 100% abuse rate. And this shows from Canada. They also used google.com, and other URL domains are oneawesome.net and oneawesome.net.pol, etc. So top signatures are used that were basically logged. As you can see on the top, we have the ET drop DShield block listed source group 1, which was alerted 22,000 times. This signature basically triggers an alert when an inbound traffic matches an IP from the drop DShield block list. DShield basically collects data about malicious activity from the internet. The second one on this graph is from ET scan suspicious inbound to MS SQL port 1433. This is from Snort honeypot. Snort basically sees the traffic before the firewall rules, so it alerts on things that are blocked by the firewall. In this case, a Snort alerted around 13,000 times, which means the attackers made a big number of attempts to access the port at 1433. So moving on, so top destination ports attacked. As you can see, the port 1433 we mentioned in the previous slide was attacked the most, over 6,000 times. The second one being port 22, the SSH port, and so on. So that's it from me. Thank you very much for listening. If there's any question, please do let me know. Thank you.